from the council chambers at the City Administration Building located at 401 West Owen K. Garriott. Please stay tuned as Mayor Bill Shuey presides over the meeting.
Lead us in the flag salute, please.
Let's pray together. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this beautiful day you've made. We thank you for this wonderful city you've given to us. We thank you for the men and women you've raised up to lead, to administer. We pray that you would give them wisdom and grace tonight, that they would make good decisions, good for your people, good for this city, decisions that will bring you glory. Oh God, we give you thanks that this meeting is here tonight and that you, by your grace, have brought these people to this hour. So we pray, Father, that since these are your people to lead this city, we ask that you would give them the grace, wisdom, and strength they need. Have mercy, O God, that this city would prosper, that good would come, that your glory would be achieved, and that, Father, we would ever see you pleased and our city thriving under your grace. For these things we ask in your Son's name. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is my pleasure to introduce our new wing commander at Vance Air Force Base, Colonel Daryl Judy. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good to be here.
We know your handle is Judge Judy, and everybody in here probably knows who Judge Judy is, but it's a neat handle. Also, Fred Cunningham is with him, Vice Wing Commander. Fred's an old timer. He's probably been here a year, maybe been here a year, Colonel?
Not quite, Mayor. A little bit less.
Colonel Judy is returning to Enid for the third time at Vance Air Force Base. That may be a record. Don't know. Do some research on that and get back with us. Now, three times coming back to Vance is huge. If we can help you, let us know.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor to do that.
Thank you. Item 4, consider approval of minutes of the regular commission meeting of June 21, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron.
Second.
Second by Aaron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 5, awards, presentations, proclamations, and organizational business. Item 5.1, present the pet available for adoption at the city animal shelter.
Spirited dog tonight.
Hi. Hang on tight.
Good evening. My name is Jared Free. I'm Animal Control Officer with the Indiana Animal Patrol. And with me I have Lucy. Lucy is a very rambunctious dog. She is a Staffordshire Terrier, and she's about 6 to 7 months old. And good dog, very good dog. She's been at the shelter for about 7 days. Her date for available for adoption is now. So if you're interested in getting Lucy at the shelter, come on out and see her. If not, come out to the shelter anyway. We'll give you a tour. We'll get you a dog. If you want to go out and look at some dogs, we'll take them out to the pen for you and give you a tour. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Go ahead and pet that dog, Chris. Item 5.2, State of Oklahoma Historical Society proclamations. I think we have 2.
Mayor and Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 presentations to make for this evening. Recently, there was 4 organizations that were recently recognized by the Oklahoma Historical Society, And their recognition had to deal with the fact that they were listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And the Robert and Minnie Kesner Mansion, is that right? Kesner, is that right? The Marshall Building at NOC campus, along with the Santa Fe Freight Depot that we'll recognize in just a moment, and also the Public Library of Enid in Garfield County. So Jenny Rieger, did I get real close? Close, Rieger. She said Steve is like a gear with the bike. Come on up here, Jenny. This document came from the governor. They get pretty big, don't they? So two of you hold that, and I'll read what's on there. It says the state of Oklahoma, Oklahoma Historical Society, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Public Library of Enid in Garfield County has been officially listed on the National Register of Historic Places, the U.S. Department of Interior in Washington, D.C. It also states, in recognition of the outstanding significance of this property, and to encourage its preservation, we hereby affix our signatures this 21st day of April 2016. We have Mary Fallon, as governor of the state of Oklahoma, has autographed this, along with Chris Benj, the Secretary of State, Bob Blackburn, as we know, with the Oklahoma State Historical Preservation Officer, and then Dr. William Corbett, who is the president of Oklahoma Historical Society, All four of those have signed that. So, Jenny, congratulations on your very valuable property there. Congratulations. You want to say anything? You
Hey,
sure?
Jenny, don't run off yet, because I don't know, maybe everybody may not know you yet. You are the new library director.
There you go.
You replaced Jade, and so they may want to hear you say a few words about how circulation is up, books, all that stuff you're sending me. You're doing a great job. So
Thank you. So my name is Jenny Regier. I replaced Jade Champion in April. Books and circulation are up at the library. I just did a report for Mr. Gilbert. We ended the year with circulation up about 25% up year to date from last year, and our patron counter is up, I think, 38%, I think is what the end number was year to date from last year. In fact, in the month of June, from June to July, or May to June, we experienced a huge jump in growth. We experienced 114% increase in the patron flow in our library. So we're really excited about what's going on in the library. We're still in the middle of summer reading program, and we're really excited about what's going on there. So really cool things happening at the library right now. If you haven't been down there in a couple of years, you should come down and check it out. It's not the library that you grew up with anymore. So come check it out.
thank you.
Thank you.
Close again with the mayor, so
Yep.
we can take your picture with the camera. And just look just straight away.
Photobomb it, man.
We good? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jenny.
Awesome.
Thank you, you bet. Sometimes those cameras can be 35 millimeter cameras. Watermelon, you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman needs very little introduction. I got to introduce to Frank Watermelon Campbell. Thank you, sir, for your service. He was in the Navy, if I recall. I met you last fall, along with City Manager Mr. Gilbert, when you were part of the honors flight from Enid going to Washington, D.C. So that was my first introduction up close and personal with Watermelon. So anyway, I went to see Watermelon on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, and he received his, you went to Oklahoma City, you received your proclamation. I'll let you tell your story in just a moment. But anyway, I walked into the Railroad Museum at the Santa Fe Freight Depot. He had his proclamation framed under glass, everything proudly displayed when you walked in. It looked very impressive, and we just want to give you as much congratulations, and it had to be a thrill to go to the city to receive this as well. So first off, we just want to say, let me put my glasses down so we can clap appropriately for you, but congratulations on the work that you did. Take all the time you need, you've got 1 minute. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Of course, I'm Watermelon Campbell. I'm the oldest one here. I had a birthday here a couple of weeks ago. I'm 95 years old. I got it. Yeah,
It's happened
yeah,
to me too.
yeah.
We'll try that.
Yeah. director of the Railroad Museum of Oklahoma, and we have the largest collection of railroad memorabilia of any railroad museum in the world. And we have it right here in Enid. And a lot of people in Enid don't know we're here. But, and we have also the largest collection of railroad dining car china. We only like a couple of patterns, having at least one piece of every pattern that's ever been made in any place in the world. And so I want to invite everybody to come and see the museum. We've just renovated the whole museum, and if you've been there before, if it's been very long, you won't recognize it, because we've really renovated the whole works, and I want to invite you all to come.
Ronald, real quick, let's have your picture with the mayor.
Yeah.
We'll just look at that camera there. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Watermelon,
Yeah.
I need a blood transfusion from you one of these days.
Good.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. Mayor and Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the presentations for this evening. Thank you.
Item 5.3, Advanced Air Force Base Quarterly Update by Mike Cooper. That and VDA, all of it.
Mayor, City Manager, Commissioners, good to be here again. I'll try to be brief. Talk a little bit about community, state, and federal actions that are going on at the moment. First, though, this afternoon I had a great meeting with your new wing commander, Colonel Judy. It was great to see him. You know, you think about how time flies. If some of you remember Colonel Soligan here in the 94, 95 timeframe, that's when he was here. And oh my gosh, we're so glad that he's back. We're lucky to have him and his family here. So I was able to kind of brief him a little bit about how we're organized, past, present, future, some of the things that we're doing, and how we move forward, and how we always work on issues that hopefully increase mission capability and reduce costs for the Air Force. And I told him, I said, most of us aren't Air Force, so we lean on you to tell us the issues that the city can be most helpful, and the state as well. So it's a very, very good meeting, sir. We look forward to working with you. First of all, the state of Oklahoma, as Kurt mentioned to you all, the budget crisis this year is a little over $1 billion loss of revenues at the state. The Military Planning Commission, I worked with the governor and the Senate and House leadership to make sure we kept as much intact for the Military Planning Commission as possible, because you saw 15 to 20, and some entities were cut more than 25%. We took about an 8% cut for the Military Planning Commission, so we'll receive a little over $1 million this session. We do have a Military Planning Commission the third Thursday of this month. The next project, as you guys all know, will be this parking apron that we've decided that we need out at Vance, even though we've only had the extended runway, I don't know, 3 or 4 months probably, but if you go out, if you haven't been out there in a while, usually in the morning about 10 o'clock, there's 4 or 5 T1s out there. T6s are always in the air somewhere around, and the T-38s occasionally are over there. So you wonder if we did the right thing. We absolutely did the right thing, and I think as these guys will figure out, maybe they have other ways that they can utilize that. So great improvement and a great teamwork effort there. The parking apron, though, we'll pass and approve that later this month. The whole project, if you remember, between the terminal building and the joint use hangar, that grassy area is where that's going to be, because we've had so many planes out there. We quickly figured out we needed something like that to park these planes while they're out there if they can't go in the hangar. So that project, probably close to $600,000, I think, total. We'll utilize dollars from Military Planning Commission and FAA to complete that. It should start here in a month or two and be completed, we think, by November, unless there's, crazy weather. We can't So the next thing, and then we were already starting some long-range planning on what we're going to do next, and I visited Mayor with Colonel Judy about that, some of the long-range issues that we may kind of work forward to in the future. The next thing at the federal level, as you all know, I attended, and the mayor went to the annual Association Defense Communities Conference, and that is where you have Defense Department leaders, whether it's military, DOD, and then congressional leadership. I had an hour-long meeting with Senator McCain. We had Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin were both speakers at our lunch because they're, major Armed Services Committee folks. And we had several other congressional meetings with people that are in appropriation or just with MilCon, BRAC, and then just Armed Services Committee as a whole. So the whole idea of this conference was to get an idea of where we're going with budget, where we're going with sequestration. Are we going to have a BRAC or not? And of course, found out very quickly Congress is not going to approve a BRAC. But the biggest issue that we tried to convey to these leaders is that, we understand we're all business people. We understand the need to shed excess capacity. But before you do that, you need to resolve the long-term budget problem and also eliminate sequestration, because if you don't, then you're going to be making poor decisions with any kind of downsizing realignment. So I think that hopefully when the elections are over, maybe we'll see something done with long-term budget and sequestration. And then I think that you probably would see, because all of the service would still say, Air Force particularly, and they think they have more excess capacity, and you've heard the numbers, 35% too much infrastructure. That doesn't mean they need to close 35% of their bases, but they do need to downsize. For us, we always pay attention to those type of things, but I will tell you, a BRAC type process, a fair, open, and accountable process, as opposed to warm basing, mothballing type facilities, is really, really bad. I will say, a couple months ago met with General Robertson. I'm part of the commander group down at ATC. And in fact, the Air Force and the Army, what they're doing is they're looking at facilities that they can do away with or not utilize, fence them off, and then just not touch them. The Air Force is looking at this a little bit differently. I know that they're, out looking at military value, they're out looking at excess capacity, and then they expect their commanders to work with community leaders, economic development folks, and others to how do I best utilize those facilities. Maybe there's a partnership, maybe there's something that folks in the community or region can utilize those facilities and help, defray the cost. So I will tell you, at least the time that I've been doing this for over 25 years, I've never heard of that before. So it is something kind of different. I know we do have issues where they try to utilize facilities or share those type of facilities on basis, but I think you're going to see more of that. And then in the future, I think that you'll eventually see that there will be a BRAC sometime, out past 2019. But so anyway, we continue to do the things that we do. I think there was not one military leader, though, in the Air Force, as you know, and you've heard all the reports that the Air Force is going to go up at least 4,000, folks. I think maybe more eventually. Pilot training numbers are still going to be up the next 5 years anyway. I think you'll see those numbers will trend up. So for us and what Colonel Judy has to do out there, they're going to be very busy. So with that, I think that's kind of most what I have, except that I will tell you the other thing from the ADC annual summit was, when you hear this analysis being done, of all services are doing analysis to check military value and what are bases doing, what could they do. I think that's very important to pay attention to that, and we do, and we always have. The other thing that we found out, and the mayor attended several of these meetings, but one of the big issues of military value, we all understand, at least for our base, airspace, facilities, infrastructure is all important. But now one of the things that's racked up to the top on military value is water and the access to water. We've already built and discussed today a redundant water system for that area, but the things that you guys are doing long-term to resolve water issues for your community are right on, because Department of Defense is looking at it heavily that it is a real critical, they need those type of resources, water dependency at the facilities long-term. If you're going to stay, that's a critical issue. So, Mayor, is there anything you want to add to that?
For those of us that have been to Washington with Mike Cooper and been to the Pentagon, he knew and has knowledge with a lot of people. But with the ADA, he is there with the Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force, and the National Guard or the Reserves, one of the two. He knew half of the 600 people there. So it's great to have you on our team, Mike.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a part of that, because again, all the folks that you all have met when you go to the Pentagon, those are the people that are there. It's a good way for them to communicate to states and communities what their needs are, what their concerns are, and then, you know, to help you help them or them help you with these issues or problems. And I was elected, and so I, agreed to a second term. It's the first time ever in the 38-year history of ADC for someone to be elected to the second term. And be real honest with you, one of the things that is important to me and what I do is to have access to those leaders, whether it's, you know, the services, Department of Defense, or folks over on the Hill that make the decisions with what it is that we do here or in the state. So it's a good time, good group.
Thank you for what you do, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Under item 6, hearings, item 6.1, conduct a public hearing pursuant to 11 Oklahoma Statute 43-104 regarding amendments to the sign regulations in Title 11, Chapter 13, Sections 11-13-1 through 11-13-9 of the Enid Municipal Code 2014. Will, is that you?
Yeah.
No.
Just want to make sure. We're on the sign ordinance, right?
Pardon me?
We're on the sign ordinance.
Yes.
The sign ordinance was originally, the new sign ordinance is now drafted to make it easier for the sign companies here in Enid to, one, produce signs, and to make it easier for businesses here to place signage on their buildings. We increased the square footage of the signage in order to allow more signage for those individual businesses while keeping it from becoming a cluttered and messy area with those signs. We adjusted. We went through the entire ordinance to make sure that it was compatible with our city.
Dana, would you go ahead and pull up that slideshow, because that might help you see what the changes are. And
so,
Will, while you're doing that, be sure you speak into the microphone.
Just put down the list, kind of page by page of what we had changed and revised. So if you want to follow along in your ordinance, it kind of captures all the major changes as you go through the ordinance.
in the sign ordinance, we added feather flags because they weren't included, and limited the amount of feather flags per the square footage. We combined the ground and pole signs because there were issues between businesses having pole signs or having the ground sign. So now it's one, and it's included as a freestanding sign, increasing the height. We included roof signs and revised to state the height of the signs where they can't increase over the crest of the roof. And then we moved on to make sure that the square footage for each sign was increased by 2, or was increased from 1 foot to 2 feet. This allowed more businesses with square footage to have more signage, but still, once it hits a certain percentage, adds, instead of 5 square feet, 10 square feet per additional frontage a foot. We also changed the definition of frontage to include road frontage and the frontage of the store where customers would enter. We eliminated restrictions on the side of the building to allow businesses to decide the best area and usage for their signs. We increased the square footage from a freestanding sign, which used to be the pole signs and the pole signs, and I forget the other name of it, from 130 to 150 square feet, and spacing between those signs from 100 square feet to 50 square feet. We moved the wall sign coverage from 30% to 50%, but that is not in place in the downtown district, because it has its own special rules. And we discontinued window signage permitting and the restrictions on them. We increased the square footage on temporary signs to allow more businesses to have a little bit more signage, and they're set to be 14 days before and 14 days after if they're a business, with a put-up day and a take-down day. So roughly a month and no more than 4 a year, 1 each quarter. We also we did address political signs to just focus on time, place, manner restrictions on them, and allow people to have, essentially, as soon as somebody files to be a candidate, they can put them out, and when somebody elected, we also included A-frame signs and don't prohibit them as long as they don't block sidewalks.
One question, Mayor, if I may, on the A-frame signs, do we restrict the size of those?
I don't think so. So they can have it. They can have large size signs as long as they do not block the pedestrian walkways.
Right, they can't block any pedestrian way. There's not a limit on size. Not blocking the pedestrian ways kind of cuts down on size. But also they have to be small enough that they can be taken in every night. So it would be probably not very productive for a business to buy a huge A-frame sign because they'd have to bring it in and out. So.
Where do we have A-frame signs now? I haven't really noticed any around.
Downtown. We do have a lot downtown. We also have some in the Indian Hill Shopping Center. Where else? I think I've seen some other places, but they're allowed in any shopping center and in the downtown district. So
much bigger than the signs that you see downtown. They just blow away anyway.
It depends on what it's made out of.
Anything else? Any
I
other
think
questions?
much bigger, and if it's made out of rock, it would blow away.
Okay.
Will, thank you. Under item 7, community development, there are none. Item 8, administration. Item 8.1, consider an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title 11, entitled Zoning, Chapter 13, entitled Sign Regulations, to improve the ordinance by reorganizing, clarifying definitions, increasing the allowable square footage of signs, deregulating window signs, and to correct grammar, providing for repealer, savings clause, severability, and codification.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Tammy, second by Aaron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 8.2. An ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title I, entitled Administration, Chapter 15, entitled Special Events, to correct capitalization throughout Section 1-15-1, to remove unnecessary language and clarify the city's purpose. Section 1-15-2, to clarify the definitions of special event and special event area, and add the definition of mobile food vendor, attendee, and participant. Section 1-15-3, to remove certain permit requirements, simplify the notification requirement, and allow insurance to be submitted separately from the application. Section 1-15-4, to require the use of off-duty police officers as security in certain circumstances. Section 1-15-6, to require appeals to be filed 10 days prior to the event. Section 1-15-9, to rename the section, provide that sales of alcohol and or low point beer be made by those with proper licenses, and to allow any additional fee. Section 1-15-10, to rename the section, require that sales of food and beverages be made by those with proper licenses, and to disallow any additional fee. Section 1-15-11, to rename and reorganize certain requirements. Section 1-15-12, to correct grammar and clarify language regarding participation fees. Section 1-15-13, to place the responsibility for violations on the operator, providing for repealer, savings clause, severability, and codification.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Tammy.
I'd like to just say one thing. I appreciate, sorry to slow it down, but I wanted to give special recognition to Commissioner Wilson. She was a great assistance in revising this, and I know it was a long time coming, so I'm glad you didn't say how long it was in coming. But I think that just by your motion and the second, I feel very good about this product, so I hope that it works very well. Thank you.
Maybe one of the longest titles we have.
Longer than I've been on.
It was about 3 times longer before Andrea Short.
We have a motion by Tammy, a second by Ben. Further discussion, comments? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 9, consent items.
Move to approve consent items.
Motion by Ben,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Second.
second by Aaron.
We do have one just clerical error on 9.7 to make you aware of. It shouldn't affect anything. On the detail, the date of the bids being received say July, the bids say they were opened on July 28th, obviously it was June 28th, just FYI.
Yep. Is that the one you had?
So now we still have a motion and a second.
Yep. Did you get, yep. She knows to change that, so we're okay. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 10, we will now recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. Item 11, 5 of the trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting are in attendance. David and Rodney are absent. Item 12, get off the line here. Item 12. Item 12. The Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 12.1, consider renewing the lease agreement on the 2015 BOMAG compactor. Do we need to take all of these at once, Gerald?
No, take them one at a time, 12.1.
Right, one at a time. This is a lease agreement. It's a 5-year lease agreement but it has to be renewed.
She's talking about 12.1 right now.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Aaron, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.2, considering renewing the lease agreement on the 2016 John Deere dozer.
Move to renew.
Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.3, award a blanket purchase order for the purchase of chlorine gas to Brintag Southwest, Inc. for water treatment for the period from July 1, 2016 to June 30, 2017 in the amount not to exceed $68,000.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.4, approval of claims in the amount of $352,605.68.
So moved.
Motion by Ben,
Second?
second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 13, we'll now adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. 5 of the trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority are in attendance at the regular meeting. David and Rodney are absent. Item 15, the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 15.1, approval of claims in the amount of $10,186.59.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Ben. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. We will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Item 17, 5 of the trustees of the Enid Public Transportation Authority are in attendance. David and Rodney are absent. Item 18, the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 18.1, approval of claims in the amount of $1,028.80.
Second.
Motion by Tammy, second by Ben. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. We'll now adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item 20, under public comments, we have 2 people signed up. Diane, you're first on the list. Please state your name and address.
Diane Levesque, I live at 1324 West Stoke, here in Enid, and I'm glad to see you back, Mr. Mayor. I made comments at the last commission. I wish you were here because you are a banker, and I think you would have understood what I had said then a whole lot better than the rest of the commission. But there's another good thing, too. It seems like you had these guys and gals looking sharp in front of the camera the last time you were here, and in your absence, I'm afraid those poor folks, they chowed down and got greasy fingers all over the public equipment as if their spouses had locked them out for the night and they were homeless. I'm glad to see you back because it appears as of today's study session, they are now once again getting well fed at home. Anyway, what I talked about last is what I've been bringing up repeatedly, and that is that you keep losing revenue from sales tax. And good news, as I pointed out back then, was that Medford, little old Medford, wasn't going in the red and certainly wasn't going into the red to the tunes of millions that we do here. And Kingfisher, it was doing very well. And in the tunes of millions, that makes you wonder where the growth is here, that we've got to worry about our water supply and the Caw pipeline and all this other stuff, because if we're growing like y'all say that we are, the people who move here are hanging on to their wallets and running all the way down to Kingfisher, and they're buying whatever they need, including furnishings, then trucking it back up here. And Kingfisher's the richer for it. So, you know, the excuse about the oil bust doesn't wash, and so forth. So you've got all this building going on with no visible means of support. You have a second Walmart, and still you're losing sales revenue. You've had Christmases, and this is a rerun of what I said before too, but even now, Kingfisher is eating your lunch, and so is little old Medford. And of course, the points between is along Route 81, not 412. Now, what are you up to? So I said, there's another way of looking at this, and this is where you being a banker comes very important. And that is in terms of whether or not what's here in Enid is worth an investor to invest in. We had a Bank of America that used to provide a service called the Medallion Certification, and you, Mr. Banker, knows that a medallion certification is a glorified notary public service, but it is for larger transactions. Bank of America left Enid, and with it, it took its medallion certification services. For me to use those services, I had to go to Central because Security doesn't have that, and from what I found out, Central was the only bank left in Enid that provided those services, and now Central doesn't provide medallion certification anymore. And yet, I did what's called a survey of Edward Jones offices. In 2004, we had 8 Edward Jones offices. That's stocks and bonds. And that got reduced in the mid-2000s, and now current office opens, and I'm just looking at the phone book, are 10. So apparently somebody's investing in something that's worthwhile opening more offices here in Enid, but what in the world is it? You keep losing money. And you don't have the banks, and you don't have the medallion services available anywhere in this town anymore. That's a complete mystery to me. So with all this building and people who get cuts of building contracts, and boy, is that Caw Pipeline look a juicy thing to get a cut out of for, arts. How in the world do you even justify a Caw Pipeline if your sales receipts are showing that you're not growing, your bank service is showing that you're not growing? What's the deal? And I submit that, once again, I should bring up the matter of gentrification. And that's evidenced by your war on the homeowner here, and you're trying to draw businesses in that want apartment houses, which means you're trying to bring in jobs that bring in workers from outside too, that you're not intending to employ anyone here in Enid that already lives here. Gentrification, and this gets to the bottom line of why myself and Brian Carr now have a common cause, because we have senior citizens up here that say that they live in Enid for a long time, they own lots of property here, and they feel slighted, if not railroaded. That's gentrification you're looking at. So you're having the senior citizens and the minority groups having common cause. And it doesn't matter if Carr is convicted of what he's convicted of. He is correct in gentrification, pushing out seniors, pushing out minorities, and certainly not providing jobs for the people who already live here. And, you know, if you don't, let me rephrase that, if you need an ethics law or guidelines to know the difference between right and wrong, you are a disgrace to the church that you go to worship at. And that includes messing around with married people. But this is where I'm getting to, and I beg your indulgence in this, because we have a case that when we have a stalker, we go to the police, and when we have a persistent stalker, we go to court, and we get a restraining order. We don't go to the city attorney. That is an abuse of office, and I'm calling for the immediate, if not sooner, resignation of Aaron Brownlee for abuse of office, and also for the resignation of his accomplice, which is the city attorney.
Watermelon Campbell, you had signed up. Did you make the comments you wanted to when we made the presentation? You have a right to speak, but since you did, we'll proceed and go on. Item 21, consider convening into executive session pursuant to 2025 Oklahoma Statute 307B4 to discuss current litigation, because disclosure will seriously impair the ability of the public body to process the claim, conduct pending litigation in the public interest. And pursuant to 25 Oklahoma Statute 307B3 to discuss the purchase of real property, and to reconvene into regular session to take any necessary action.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ben, second by Eric. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0.
Gotta get quicker.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission meeting. If you have any questions or comments, visit our website at enid.org.